Pope Francis calls for a great reset and a new world order after the end of the pandemic. Aloha everyone, I'm Dr. Michael Salla and this is Exopolitics Today. I saw an article in Breitbart News where they were discussing a new book that's coming out on Tuesday, March 16, that's based on an interview that Pope Francis did with an Italian journalist. And the title of the book is called God and the World to Come. And in this book, the Pope basically makes his case for a great reset, and where we need to move away from financial speculation, where wealth is obviously acquired by those with a lot of financial resources, and that tends to be in the first world nations and of course the elite, but also upper middle class people who are able to have things like investments where they are able to accumulate significant savings. He advocates moving away from fossil fuels, military build-up, and towards a green economy. Now, what really kind of upset me when I first read this was that the Pope calling for an end to the fossil fuel industry, or that we need to move away from that and to promote a green economy, is the utter hypocrisy of the Vatican advocating this. Not that it's wrong, but the fact is that the Vatican has been sitting on advanced technologies that can replace the fossil fuel industry for over a decade, for over a century now. Going all the way back to Nikola Tesla and even earlier, the Vatican has a library and it has very competent scientists who have been developing some of these free energy technologies, or at the very least know about the existence of these free energy technologies that go back many, many centuries to the ancient world. All of that information, we're talking about records that date back from the Egyptian era, the pre-dynastic era, where you actually have all of these advanced technologies that are depicted on the Temple of Abydos in Egypt. And then, of course, going even further back to Atlantis. All of those records that were acquired over the course of many, many centuries and millennia exist in the Vatican's library. So they know a lot about these ancient energy technologies that existed, some of them using free energy principles. Nikola Tesla came out in 1902 with his radiant energy device. So the Vatican is very aware of these kinds of advanced technologies. But where the Vatican began to openly develop these technologies occurred in the 1940s with the US acquiring captured extraterrestrial technologies, and then subsequent meetings with extraterrestrials. The Vatican was involved in this from the very beginning. The Vatican worked very closely with helping Nazis escape Europe after the end of the Second World War, to go to South America, to go to Antarctica. And in exchange, the Nazis gave over to the United States a lot of their advanced technologies. Well, the Vatican was the middleman for all of this. So the Vatican was involved in a lot of these technologies being handed over to the US, and actually assisting US scientists in reverse engineering not only captured Nazi technologies, or those that were given by the Nazis in exchange for being able to escape Europe, but also captured extraterrestrial spacecraft. And later on, also when there were meetings between US delegations and extraterrestrials, the Vatican was very involved in that. For example, in 1954, Francis McIntyre, the Archbishop of Los Angeles Diocese, actually went to Edwards Air Force Base and was part of the meeting between the US government, President Eisenhower in particular, with a visiting group of Nordic extraterrestrials. And then McIntyre flew back to the Vatican to brief Pope Pius. And so the Vatican has been involved in the development of these advanced technologies. The Vatican, for example, helped develop looking glass technology using frequencies that could distort the space-time continuum. The Vatican is also very aware of how frequencies, similar kind of sound vibrations, can levitate objects. So if we're talking about ending the fossil fuel industry, right there, there's technology that exists where if you achieve the resonant frequency of an object, it can levitate. And so once you're able to get it levitation, well then you can use solar energy or whatever to propel the car forward. Because, I mean, with a normal combustion engine, you know, that car moves forward because it has to overcome a lot of friction caused by the weight of the car and the wheels on the ground. So it has to generate a lot of energy. Well, if you can levitate a car, you need very little power to propel it forward in any direction. And so the Vatican knows the principles of levitation, resonant frequency, how to do that, because it's been using these technologies for a long time. Edward Ledskellian in the United States, in Coral Castles, he was someone that pioneered the development of resonant frequency to levitate objects. The Vatican has known about this for a long time and has kept that secret. So for now, the Vatican coming out saying that we need to embrace environmentalism and kind of replace the fossil fuel industry by embracing a green economy and promoting things such as solar energy, wind energy, and any other kind of alternative energy sources. I mean, not that those energy sources aren't something desirable, but the fact is that the fossil fuel industry can be very easily replaced overnight if the Vatican opened its library to researchers and scientists in terms of the secret technologies that have been around and known for many centuries. So the Vatican's embrace of the Great Reset is part of this World Economic Forum agenda for a global reset. And the idea is to redistribute global wealth away from the richer nations to poorer nations. And to do that, you would need to have a kind of one world government set up. So that's what the Vatican wants to do. It's what the World Economic Forum wants to do. And it's what the deep state wants to do. So it is something that we really need to be aware of, that this is not going to be anything good for people in terms of their freedoms, because it's going to be an imposition of a top-down model where anything that the deep state says through its controlled media assets becomes the prevailing orthodoxy. And we just have to accept that. And anyone that doesn't accept that, we get banned, we get removed by social media companies, and then there are all of these restrictions that are going to happen if you don't take the jab. You know what I mean by that. That's something that is coming as well. So this all needs to be resisted, and rather than embrace this kind of great reset and this kind of plan to impose a top-down New World Order model, we need to go another way and another path. And that path really is embracing ideas such as full disclosure of all of these advanced technologies that not only can replace the fossil fuel industry overnight, but also can cure many serious illnesses, as well as these alleged pandemics that are now beginning to kind of like ravage the world and lead to all of these demands for a New World Order and a great reset. So I'll put links in the description to this podcast, so you can look at that article in Breitbart News, and also you can go find an extract of the Pope's interview that was translated from Italian, where he talks about his idea of a New World Order and Great Reset. For those that want to dive deeper into this issue, I recommend my March 27 webinar, which is going to be on the Great Awakening versus the Global Reset, how full disclosure trumps AI and transhumanism. So I'm going to be talking about why it is that the release of all of these advanced technologies, knowledge of secret space programs, releasing advanced health modalities, how that is going to be so much more advantageous than going down this path of a global reset that the Pope and others are now strongly championing. And that also leads to the idea of transhumanism, because all of this is leading to the notion that eventually we are going to be equipped with implants that connect us through 5G to the cloud. And by that kind of connection, we are then going to be competitive in a new workplace, a new global workplace where people work from home, and everything is controlled by this kind of top-down, centralized world authority. Definitely something that we need to be very, very aware of and resist, and go down a different path. So I'll be talking at length about that in the webinar. I have a notice on my website, exopolitics.org, where you can learn more about that webinar. So thank you for listening and subscribing.